And we are live. Hey, hello
Hello.
everyone. Welcome to our The Obelisk Gate live show. Hello everyone and welcome. I'm just going to
I'm just
tweet
gonna
that we are
tweet.
live. Yes,
Yeah,
and also
I'm gonna
retweet
do my
from
personal one.
great. I will retweet
Mm-hmm.
from the read-along one. But yes,
Yes.
today we are here to discuss the Obelisk Gate. We are live. Yes. Okay, so hello everyone, and today we're discussing the Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin, the second book in the Broken Earth trilogy, which is really
My copy's
exciting that
over
we are.
there, and I'm too lazy to get it. But
It's okay. That's totally understandable. Yeah, so today we
we don't
are
need it.
talking about this gate. That's exciting. That's the second month. So before we will start, I just want to say that I unfortunately will be DNFing this series. And we will talk about it a little bit more soon. But just so you know, I didn't finish the book, so I don't know everything, but I will be here for all the lives, also the last one. I'm okay with all the spoilers, so yes, just so everyone knows.
yeah, and I think
Hey,
that's also why Esme isn't here
yo.
because I think she's also DNFing the series, at least for now.
Yes, so Esme, we hope that you could join us for our last live and read the books until then, or some of them, like how much she can read. But today, unfortunately, she can join us, but it will be us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I did finish the book, just to catch you all up. I did finish it the other day.
Amazing.
But I will admit, and yeah, we will talk about it, I'm also struggling with the series a tad bit. I don't think I'm
Mhm.
DNFing the series entirely. I have the third book, so I should read it. And like, I'm not one that usually stops in the middle of a series or something like that. I usually like to, even if I dislike the series or something, to read everything. So I will read the third book at some point, but I'm not certain. I think we need to have a internal discussion with us as well, how we
Mhm.
should approach this, and if we should have the continue to read along for the third book, or just let everyone that have joined and participated read it on their own whenever they feel like it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because I'm a terrible host and I haven't finished the book. Not because I DNF'd it, but for lack of time, honestly. So far I am enjoying it. It's not a 5-star read or anything, but I'm not disliking reading it.
Mhm.
But I mean, we'll see. Obviously, I don't mind spoilers, so I'm good with that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's we're going to have to see what we're going to do.
Yeah. So for anyone that's participating in the read along, please just share your current thoughts about the book, about the series, or if you need to gather your thoughts, tweet us or something, just so we know where everyone's at. And it's like that there's just a few of us that are still participating in the read along and actually reading the
Mhm.
books. We might consider just stopping the read along maybe, or if you still want to have these discussions, we can still continue to do that as well. But we just want everyone's opinions on the books, basically.
I mean,
What
I
they're
do think
thinking of it.
we can just have the live sprints. I think because it doesn't matter
Mhm.
what you're reading.
Yeah,
But I think at
true.
least during the live sprints, we will have an update for whether the final discussion will actually be about the book or whether I think it might be a good thing to just have the discussion and just discuss.
I'm actually not sure that we decided on live reading sprints. Like I think that we canceled the ones in
Oh,
like the
right.
final ones for the final live show, but we can do instead of it like in the same date live reading sprints and maybe see later. Maybe we can schedule a final live discussion show if someone
Yeah.
will be interested in it.
So there will definitely be one more live show.
Mm-hmm.
Details to be determined on what that's going to look like, I think.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
good plan. Great. Should we talk? Let's start with you, Jane. Why did you
Mm-hmm.
decide to DNF the book? What are your flaws?
Okay. Yes, so first of all, already from the first book, I didn't really like it, especially because I'm a plot-driven reader. I feel like for me, especially, I need structure for my books, like in the plot. I don't have problem with confusing books, but I do have a problem with a confusing plot that I don't see how we are moving forward. So, like, if there is a plot that is really slow, but I still feel like we're moving forward in some way, also if it's really slow, I'm okay with it. But I feel like when I started to read the second book, everything is so. It reminded me really the first book where all the plot was all over the place, and I didn't really felt like I'm moving forward with anything. And when I just started to read the book, I felt like I don't care about the characters, about the plot, about everything. I tried, like, I'm currently 70 pages in, something like this. I tried to read it for something like a week, almost every day. I took the book, I tried to read it. I tried to read a chapter, even finishing it was really, really hard for me. I just feel like because the plot got really confusing to me, it was a lot of things that I don't love. And especially because I didn't love the first book, I felt like it just going to get even worse for me. Like as I continued reading, I just saw more things that I personally don't like in books. So I feel like those are the main reasons that I DNF'd it, just because it wasn't for me. And because I think like the message, at least from the first book, because I didn't finish the second one, but the message and the overall idea is really good. Like the premise sounds amazing, the fantasy system sounds amazing. I just feel like the execution didn't work for me because I need a structure to my books, which is like the exact opposite. I feel like from
See,
those.
I find this pretty funny because I actually get what you're saying, because I kind of feel the same, but for me it's the writing style. And then like when I'm not actively reading, but I'm actually just processing what I read and just thinking about it, I really like the book, but I'm just having issues with the writing style, and not, I don't know how to explain it. It's not the writing style, but it just feels so like dissociated for me. And that it's not because it's in first, second, or third person. That's not necessarily it for me, but just because I also have it in the third person sections. But it just kind of feels distant or something, and that makes it really hard for me to care. So I really get like what you're saying. It just feels, because I feel the same way, but for me it's a different reason. And then when I'm, thinking about it, processing everything, I'm like, okay, no, but I actually do like this. I really like this idea and what we're saying with the origins and all that. But when I'm actually reading it, I'm kind of struggling.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what both of you are saying. I also feel like, for me it's confusing and definitely some lack of structure. And also, as you are saying, Femke, I don't really feel connected to the book for some reason when I'm reading it. I think the issue for me has been I've really been trying to get this book and enjoy it. Like I really wanted to. I've tried so freaking hard, I promise. And but it's just like, for me, the plot, there's not really that much happening in the second book. So, I mean, I usually prefer, also, I think might be due to preference, but I prefer fast-paced stories, a lot of action. And this book is not that. It's definitely slower in pace. They aren't really going anywhere. In this book, they are basically in the place throughout the entirety of the 400 pages. And there's not really much character development or something that connects me to the characters, I feel like. So all of the things I usually try and connect to, or the things I personally enjoy in books, I'm not finding those. And that makes it a bit more difficult. And then also, as you were talking about the writing itself is good. It's beautiful. It's the ideas and all of that. That's great. But as you said, there's something that's really disassociating with the writing that just doesn't make me connect. It's not, I'm not into the book, basically.
I was so confused there for a second because I heard something and I'm like, but I don't have a cat.
No, it's my cat. Yeah.
Or he. I don't know if it's a she or a he. I don't know. Your cat.
She.
She. Okay.
Yeah, she.
Aww.
She's so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get that, Charlotte. For me, it's weird because I like fast-paced books. I like slow-paced books. I don't care as long as I care about something.
Mhm.
If like plot,
Yes.
characters, something, and it's just not really doing it. But when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, this is such a good story. Because that's what I had with the 5th season as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely.
Like-
that
Like purely, if you look at all the facts and everything that basically happens in the first book, I'm like, wow, I'm loving this. But when I'm reading it, it's just I'm not loving it, and it's
no,
Yes.
just
exactly.
The execution,
such a
I feel
weird
like this is the
feeling,
problem.
honestly. Sorry, what did you say, Jane?
Sorry, I just say that I feel like the problem is the execution, not the story
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, because like I also looked up the plot to this book because I hadn't finished it, so I did have an idea of what was to come, what we're going to talk about, and I was like, wow, I love this. This is like what's happening is right up my alley. But then when I'm reading, I'm like, but this isn't what the synopsis promised me. It just feels so differently. But then when you think about it, like what the synopsis says actually does happen, but it just.
I think it's like the main plot, the part that is in the synopsis is actually going on in the background, sort of like our characters.
Yeah.
They're not, even though we have like the main character Essen, who is like this huge force, and she's getting stronger and stronger, and is a very central part of the story. And she obviously does something to do to this main big plot. But when we're reading about her and seeing things from her perspective, I don't get the feel that she is in the midst of this entire.
Mhm.
The world
No,
is so
exactly,
shifting.
and that's what I
Even
had
though it's
with.
happening and we know it, it's
Yeah.
so distant from that for some reason.
Yeah, that's what happened first as well.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just
Because-
knocked my phone off the table.
Is
Sorry.
your phone okay?
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
It's
Go
like
on.
just thinking back about the first book, like the Maya and Cyanide's chapters. Like I actually felt like stuff was happening then. Like
Mhm.
with Demaya exploring the fulcrum and everything, and getting to the, well, what's it called? Like the cave thingy, the pit.
Yeah.
And with Cyanide, with the I don't remember what they're called, but like with the people basically being forced to like broadcast their powers, I think.
Mhm.
Like those things, like
Yeah.
you actually saw stuff happening, and with Cyanide raising the broken obelisk, those kinds of things. And then with Essen, like stuff is happening, but you're just, I
They
don't
are
know.
boring. Like they are not boring. I feel like less stuff happening. It's more slow paced, and
Yeah, but it's
that's
happening in her mind, or it's happening through her thoughts, and that I think
it's like
it's-
not understandable.
it's not like we walked there and then slept there and then ate bread or something. It's much more, yeah, I don't know, it's explained through her thought process or something. It almost feels like stream of consciousness or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
like I feel that.
Like not quite, but it kind of reminds me of that. That's the feeling I got with the stream of consciousness works I read as well. It's like 4 pages after something actually happened, you start to realize, oh wait, this happened. But then
That's the thing, because like I know that there is action in this book. Like there are obviously battles going on and people are fighting and like stuff like that happens. But I only realized that afterwards. Like, wait, what? Did we just have an action scene? Did I miss it? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
So I agree. Like we understand it so much later, which is so different. Yes, I'm not used to that, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm not
it's
sure I
like
like it,
very-
honestly.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very different. Like I feel that again,
Did
this
everyone
is
freeze?
one of the reasons it's very confusing. But
no.
actually, like about what Femka, what you said about the writing, I feel what you're saying. I feel like I didn't really notice it, but I also don't really love the writing style. I feel like it's very confusing and it makes you feel distance from the story. Like definitely when I feel when I read like the first few chapters before I didn't have the book, I just felt like something in the writing and how everything described just makes me really want to throw this book and not read it and anything. And I also feel like I was really afraid from the first book that because all the, like, this is spoilers for everyone here that didn't read the first book, but because all of the characters are the same person, I was so afraid because I really enjoyed Diamaya and Cyanide point of views, but I hated Esun ones, like the Esun point of view, and I was really afraid that now I'm left only with the POV that I didn't like, and like we were discussing it in the first live, that maybe something will change and something will feel different because it will be like the three characters in one, but it still felt to me only Esun. Like I didn't felt not Diamaya, not Cyanide from what I read. Like I'm sure that maybe something changed, but from what I read, it felt to me like the exact POV that I didn't like without any change, and it really made me not want to waste my time on this POV.
Because I also had that. Sorry, what did you want to say, Charlotte? Go ahead.
No, I just agree that with the fact that when we discussed it before, I think most of us were in union that Essen was not perhaps our favorite character to follow, and now it's the POV that we get for most of the second book. So I think that's also one of the reasons why there might be a bit more of a struggle with this book. Continue.
Yeah, but I also feel like obviously we get like chapters from Shafa and Nassen's point of view as well, but those also feel it's Essen's daughter. She's called Nasun. Nasun?
Yeah, Nasun. Esun and Nasun, I can't understand why the author decided on two really similar names for two really impactful characters, but okay.
Shafa the Guardian and Essen's daughter. Let's just call it that. But those chapters, just despite being not written in second person, also feel like so distant or something. Like even though it's written in third person, it still feels like I'm trying so hard to put into words how I feel, but it's just so difficult. But I kind of feel like the writing style is like projected inwards instead of like outwards on what the character is actually like experiencing, but more on how they feel or felt while experiencing.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, good way to summarize it.
Yeah.
For me, I think my favorite, the parts in the book I preferred were probably Shafa and Nassen's chapters, and also for some reason I like the parts with Alabaster, the old dude. I like him. I like when he's connecting.
I also like his character.
So that I do enjoy, but and I noticed that for some of those chapters when I read that, I really did get into a flow of reading that. Like I think there's quite a long chapter in the middle where we're following Shafa and Nassen, and that I read like in one go, which isn't so common for this book.
No.
Then we get back to Essen's chapters, and it's, I don't know, perhaps it's the entire calm thing, the community that they are in the pit and such. Perhaps it's that I'm not vibing with, possibly.
Could it be, like, this is just a thought, but could it be that Essen's chapters also have very little dialogue and that she just describes what was talked about instead of actually having the dialogue? Because I feel like that would make a big difference for me and how easy something would be to read.
Yeah,
yes, because
like instead of, saying Alabaster said this and I said that, she just summarizes we talked about something like that, because I feel like that would definitely, break my reading flow.
And also will make you feel more connected to the characters, I feel, because like I read only about the like emotions of the character that I don't like. So of course I would prefer to hear what the other characters are going to say. It's also like what you both said about that it doesn't feel like I forgot that it doesn't feel. Wait, I forgot. Let's move forward. I will remember what I wanted to say.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think the part about like the fact that Essence chapters are missing dialogue, that might be because of the second person. Perhaps there's a choice in that. But it's some sort of like, well, if you are the one experiencing things, you notice or you observe that someone is doing something. You don't actually. I don't know if that might be the reason. I'm just throwing things
for
out.
sure, but it's just I'm just trying to think of, you know, just thinking aloud what might cause Essence chapter to be such a chore for all of us.
Yeah. But I definitely think that's it. The lack of dialogue and that it's more just introspective and such.
Yes, it's like you aren't really feeling like you're moving forward, especially because there is some points that something happens and we realize that it happened only after it happened, which is already something that doesn't work right because the reader doesn't supposed to realize that something happened only after it. So I feel like it's because of the writing style and the emotions of Esun and just something there. Like from the first book, definitely I preferred the chapters of Diamara and Cyanide. So it's interesting. Like there was a lot of emotions also in those chapters and a lot of thoughts, but yes, probably because of the second person there were even more in Esun chapters,
because I feel like Damaya and Cyanide, they were such emotional people. Like they acted so much on their emotions, on what they felt like, and with Damaya, with her being bullied and everything, that's like a response to an emotion you have. And with Essen, I just don't feel the emotions anymore. It's like, you know, that part just has switched off or something. It kind of feels like that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Another thing I noticed in the books that I don't believe was an issue in the first one, but definitely is for me in this one, is that the chapters are really long. Especially from the middle part into the end. The chapters are like 20-30 pages long. I don't know if they were that in the first book.
Yeah, the first book had some pretty long chapters as well.
Okay, but I didn't notice that then. But now I'm noticing it.
I think there was definitely one or two chapters in the first one that was like 40 pages because I checked and I'm like, when
the
does
first
the chapter
one
end?
Yeah,
yes, like the first book had really long chapters, and also it was longer than the second book. Like the second book, I think is 50 pages shorter or something like this. I feel like in the first book, I was okay with the long chapters if it wasn't Esun POV. Like I noticed how long the chapters are when I read Esun POV.
Yeah. I think another reason also why I'm a bit disappointed is that I perhaps had too high expectations on the book. We talked a lot about this a lot when we discussed the first book, that it felt quite a lot as a build-up, that action were to come, that like now we're getting to the good parts. Now we will have some events and some action going on. And I did expect that for the second book. And as we said, like there were action, but you don't notice it until afterwards. So for me, it still continued to feel like a build-up. So I think that my expectations on this one were quite wrong.
So but I get that. Because, I mean, obviously, like you said, we thought the first one was really a build-up, and usually if you have a build-up book, the next one will, you know, at least contain more action and not just be more build-up to what I hope is going to be more action in the third one, which at this point we're not quite sure about because we expected that for the second one as well, so...
Yeah, basically.
Yes, like from my experience with series, especially like from Ember in the Ashes, which was my previous read-along, I feel like the series that you feel like there is going to be a build-up and you expect so much for the second book, it just disappoints you more. Like I feel that the series that I love, already the first book won't disappoint me, but I actually have a question for Charlotte, because you are the one who finished the book. I want to ask, if you compare it to the first book, which one you like more and why?
Objectively, not because you expected more from this one, but just looking at what was in the books, POVs, that kind of thing. Which one did you like more?
Yeah, I think I definitely prefer the first book then, because as we had the multiple POVs, and it did feel a bit more structured in that way, that we had Damaya, Cyanide, and Essen. and you could follow each of them. And I also enjoyed the Fulcrum and Damaya and then Cyanide with Alabaster and such. So there were definitely more things in the plot that I enjoyed in the first one. I also really, really appreciated the twist at the end. That is one major thing for me from the first book that somehow like makes the book for me in many ways. And I didn't really find that there was that sort of plot twist to the end in the second book, or any twist in general. And I wasn't really sure what the book was building up towards. And also the fact that the second book featured Essen and her thoughts so much more, and that wasn't really what was entertaining for me. So I do prefer the first book. I do.
So I was wondering, not sure if you said that already, but how many stars did you give it?
Oh, I gave it 2 stars.
I
gave the first one 3 stars, and I just knew that, well, I didn't enjoy this one as much as I expected it to. I like the first one, I can appreciate, and I could like try to understand and like really dig myself deep into what it's about and its reasoning and the concept and all of that. This one is more like I don't know. It's unfair. I wished it was so much more than it ended up being.
Yeah, well, that's the worst feeling. I hate it. I hate it when that happens.
Yes, especially like I feel that the thing that really interesting to me is that those books are really hyped up. Like, it's okay, we all have different reading taste, but I feel like all of us, like at least the majority of us, pretty disliked the books. And also from the first live, I remember that a lot of people in the comments said that they didn't really like the book and it was 2 or 3 stars for them. Yeah, so like I heard only 5-star reviews about it. Like even 4 stars review almost didn't see any. And I can understand why, because it's so unique, especially if you love like high fantasy stories and things like this. I can understand why you would love this book so much, but it's really hard for me to understand how so many people love it, but when we are reading it, nobody really likes it. Like, yes, I'm not sure how, like, what happened there, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing that we all have different reading tastes. Like, that's amazing. It's amazing that people are enjoying this book because, like, especially the first one, because I actually finished it. I know that it had some really good things, but yes, like, I'm really surprised, like, how we are into it.
I just checked, and the first one has over 200,000 ratings on Goodreads and a 4.28 average. And I'm like, like the 4 of us have pretty different reading tastes. So honestly, someone was bound to like it, and I feel like we're all just not really.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I did give the first one 4 stars, but now that I'm thinking about it, I do actually think it was more of a 3-star for me. But it's like, okay, so we all thought, okay, the first one, like, we can appreciate it, but we didn't love it. And now with the second one, kind of all of us are like,
Yeah. Like, I'm thinking if perhaps the people that have rated it high are either like so much smarter than or something, and that they are realizing something I'm not, or perhaps they are just so much more patient than I am or we are. Because as you've been saying, all I've heard are amazing things about this book. Like many of the people I looked up to that discuss fantasy books and stuff, they have given this book 5 stars. But I don't know, I feel like perhaps they're just smarter than me or something.
Yeah.
Not, I just, like, I actually don't feel like it's a thing of how smart you are. Maybe I can say that I'm not smart because I don't want to say it, but yes, like...
I have 134 IQ, guys. I guess I'm pretty smart, but I'm not getting the book. So.
Yes, like, it's not. I read the book,
like, I have a
degree.
understand.
I don't know how high is my IQ because we don't check it.
No, obviously it's not
like,
about that. I'm just feeling like everyone is in this club that we're not a part of. Like, what are we missing out on? What is it we don't see?
But
Yes, I also feel like, especially in the first book I was reading, and I wasn't understanding things, especially because I read with the audiobook, I wasn't confused of what the words are saying to me. I understood what the words are saying. It's the writing and the plot and how the things were described to us that were really confusing to me, especially in as soon chapters, because I feel like so little happened in her chapters in the first book that like nothing happened, and you're coming and she's talking about one subject and then she's thinking about another one and then she's feeling something else, and everything was just so messy. So I feel like I was understanding what is happening. It was just so messy that I didn't get the point of what is happening.
Yeah. And I also, just quickly looking at some of the reviews I said, they all said I was immediately immersed in the world. And I feel like for us, like for all of us, it's just the writing style. I feel like that's the major problem for all of us, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think we can all agree,
Must be
like,
it.
what was happening was actually interesting. And it's a really cool premise. And the idea of this world with fifth season and everything, I mean, it's great. You won't hear me say anything bad about that. But for me, I just don't connect to the writing. And that's just such a big part of this book that I feel like if you don't like the writing, you're just doomed with his book. It's just, sorry.
I actually have to say that I read the thriller last week. It was so interesting. I really hated the writing style, but I really loved the thriller and the plot, and I couldn't stop reading it. Like I finished it in a day, and I didn't love the writing style, but although I didn't love the writing style, I still felt like so in the story. It was so interesting plot-wise. So like it was really different. Like it was so weird for me because I didn't love the writing style. But yes, like I definitely agree with you, Franca, that the writing style is probably the main reason and the main problem for us. Just so weird for me that so many people love it, and like,
yeah, we just have some bad luck here, you guys. That
yes, and like it's right. All of us has different reading tastes, and it was not only us, also the people in the comments last time. I remember that something like 3-4 people said that it was 2-3 stars for them.
Yeah, because like statistically, you and Esme, Jane, you have completely opposite reading taste. So statistically, one of you should have
Except
liked
romance
it.
contemporaries, but yes, fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, with like fantasy wise,
Yeah.
one of you should have liked this book because, like, you know, most of the time, if one of you likes it, the other one doesn't. So
Yeah.
I mean, at least we can agree on something. It's just a bit sad that it's not a
Yes.
positive experience, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird.
It's indeed an experience, nevertheless, even though it's not perhaps the experience we expected and we're hoping for.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I do think it's a shame because it was a book I was highly anticipating because I heard so many good things about it.
I was so anticipated it. Like, it was a 5-star prediction for me, definitely, the first book, not the second one. I was so disappointed. Like, the whole premise and the idea, I really love books. I really love apocalyptic books and books that deals a lot with death and the end of the world and humanity and all of those stuff. Usually those books are my most favorite books, like The Hunger Games, Scythe, The Fifth Wave. Like The Fifth Wave is example for it's a YA trilogy. I'm not sure if you know it, but I was sure that the 5th season is going to give me similar vibes of an apocalyptic world, like the end of the world, something happens, not a lot of people are left in the world is going to end. So I was sure that it's going to deal with a lot of those themes, and I was so disappointed from it. So like it was, I had really high expectations for the first one.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's what I said before. Like, for me, just, you know, if you read the synopsis on Wikipedia, it sounds so cool. And like when I'm reading the book, I'm just not getting it. And the only thing I can think of for me that makes it this way is that it's mostly, in my case, the writing style that I'm just not vibing with.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not saying it's bad because honestly, tons of people love it, but it's not for me.
Yeah. Perhaps at least have similar taste in writing styles then, but just enjoy different plot parts and such and paces.
Yeah.
But our taste in writing is good or similar. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like I can deal with a lot of writing styles, but I just yeah, I don't know. It's
Master match.
yeah, it's weird. This is it. This is the book that won.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did try to read one of N.K. Jemisin's other books, The Killing Moon, which I think it came out after this because this was her debut. And
the fifth season, it wasn't her debut.
Wasn't it? I thought it was.
No, I think it's like one of the latest things that she wrote. Let's look.
In that case, it might be.
I'm interested. Let's look. Yes, like in the beginning, there is so many series, but let's see. Like
there's like the Inheritance trilogy, the Dream Blood.
Yeah, so that's the one I tried, the Dream Blood series. And I think I got like 5 chapters in, and I also struggled with that writing style. So I feel like it may just be N.K. Jemisin's writing for me in general, and not necessarily the second person.
Yeah,
it isn't her debut. Like, she published it in 2015, and the first book that I see is 2010. But there might be even one before that. But yes, it's not her even for series.
Oh, okay, well then that was my mistake. I thought this was her debut, but I mean, I feel like it might be that N.K. Jemisin's writing is just not for me.
Yeah, very possible. That's my worry as well, though, because I've had The City We Became on my TBR for a while, and I've actually been quite excited to read it. But now, since I read 2 of her other books, I'm a bit worried if I should pick it up or not, because perhaps it won't just work for me because of the author. And nothing against her at all. It's just sometimes you just don't match or click with a writing style. And that's just how it is with books. That's why we have multiple books and multiple authors, so that you can always find something. And sometimes you just simply don't connect to someone's writing.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Laini Taylor is a favorite of mine, and I love her writing style, but I can definitely see why some people just hate it. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's super flowery, and I if you don't like flowery writing, her books are not for you. I mean, I can guarantee that. So, but it's like it's something I really enjoy, but maybe I'm not saying that based just of this one, and because I haven't finished Dream Blood, but I'm fearing N.K. Jemisin's writing might not be for me.
I actually think that like this trilogy makes me not want to pick other N.K. Jemisin book in the future, especially because of the writing, and like that's okay. Just from past experience, if I usually don't love writing of an author, also if the genre of the book will be different, I will still not really enjoy the book. Also, if the plot is amazing because of the writing, and I didn't thought about specifically the writing in this situation until you, Femka, said it, but it's right. Like the writing made me really not enjoy the book. And now when I'm thinking about it, also the first book and especially the second one, like when I'm actually thinking about how I felt while I was reading it, I really felt like the writing is the thing that makes me not enjoy it. But like if I do think that if someone really loves this writing style, those books can be amazing. So I can get the 5-star reviews. I'm just still shocked that nobody thinks that this book is bad except of us. Like,
yeah, but see, I don't think the book's necessarily bad.
Yes, it was not a good choice word. They aren't bad. They good. They're just not for me and not for my personal taste.
No, for sure. Yeah, but it's like.
Sorry.
No,
do you think you will read the third book or continue with the second book and then read the final one in the trilogy, or?
I'm definitely planning on that. Yeah, I am definitely planning on at the very least finishing this book. But since I don't really DNF books like at all, unless a book is like spectacularly bad or boring. But in that case, I will try to file like an audiobook so I can just read along with it. So I will definitely try to finish it. I just hope it will be in time for the next live.
Yes, like I'm going to also to the next live. Totally okay with spoilers. I'm going to DNF the series. I feel like I started to DNF a lot of books in the recent months, and it works so good for me. Like
That's great.
yes,
Yeah.
because
I mean,
I don't read multiple books at once, and if if I'm reading a book and like I'm starting to read another book, I won't get to the first one ever. So I feel like if I'm DNFing a book, it makes me feel better because I can pick another one that I will actually enjoy.
See, for me, that's the point, because I'm so extremely like curious that if I DNF the book, I will forever feel like, but what if I missed out?
FOMO.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's it for me. Like, I mean, there's definitely a few instances where I regretted my choice of not DNFing because I didn't miss out and it got worse. But like overall, I do think I will be able to see why some people love the book, or definitely find some redeeming qualities.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's also why I hardly ever give 1-star reviews. Again, a book has to be like spectacularly bad for me to give a 1-star review.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for me, it's honestly, I'm afraid of missing out.
Yes, I can understand you. I feel like in real life, I have a lot of this FOMO thing, but like in books, usually, like the majority of the books that I DNF'd, and then I saw someone talks about this book online or something, usually what those people said about the book just made me feel, oh, lucky that I DNF'd it. It sounds like the exact thing that I don't like.
I mean, yeah. Sometimes I feel like I should DNF more.
It's hard. It's really hard.
But then,
yes, I'm really working on my DNF skill, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Like I'm so happy when I'm DNFing books. I started to like try so many books, and if I just don't like it, like I have so many books on my TBR, and since I started to DNF more of them, I just feel better because I actually read more and I enjoy more what I read.
Life's too short to read books you don't enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that, and I agree, but I just don't seem to be able to do it myself.
Yeah, but I'm the same as you, Femke, and especially like I very rarely DNF books as well. And when I have DNF books this last year, it has mainly been audiobooks. But if it's like a book I own, like no, I'm gonna
That's
read
the
that. I have
most
that. That's
hard
my
thing.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's why.
Yeah.
So, were there any other things you wanted to talk about, Charlotte, since you were the only one who actually finished the book?
Honestly, my only point is that I found chapter 18 really, really confusing, like next level confusing. But
what happened in that chapter?
About it. But it's like chapter 18, it's sort of like a first person and a second person. Like that messed me up.
What?
So it's
18,
it's like,
let me look. I'm
I
interested.
did this. I said something. But you did that. And like, who am I? So chapter 18 is just, I started to lose track there, what was going on.
Noted. Like if I when I get there, I'll probably shout about it too.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to hear what people think about it, because I don't know if like I was like, what am I reading? So I reread the page multiple times, like nope.
Yes, like I said, I lied. Wow, it's actually in first person.
Yeah, so that's impressive.
It's
The
like
authors managed to
second
get all
person with
first
first.
story.
But does it say whose perspective it is?
You.
You is like a Sun perspective.
Yeah, it's only says
Okay.
You
counting down.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's Essen, but I think it's like different parts of Essen or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That,
Yeah,
oh, yes, Charlotte, you're not the only one.
Okay. No,
Also
I think I might actually know what's going on, but I won't say because that would be spoilers for the third book.
You already know what's gonna happen in the third one?
Yeah. because I like to spoil myself.
Yeah.
but
I'm actually interested to know like what happened in the plot. Like I didn't read what happened. I needed to read like online. I should have read a summary or something, but
I think the Wikipedia ones are pretty good. Just English Wikipedia ones. And I think if you read the synopsis for the third one, you will also know what I think is happening here.
Yeah, okay, maybe I should do that actually.
Yeah, but that's for the third one, so you'd be spoiling yourself for the entire third book.
Okay, maybe not then.
So,
I might need to reread for the second one just to understand what I just read.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know, great, definitely do that. But I think, I mean, obviously it's just my thought because I haven't read it. But based on what I saw, like in the synopsis for the third book, I think I know what's happening.
But that's interesting then, if it actually makes sense. That's something that might get me to pick up the third book then. I feel like because there wasn't really that big of a twist in the second one when it was such a big one in the first one. So perhaps it's even more built up for something major to come in the third one, possibly.
Because I think based on the synopsis that I read, we basically just find out everything that's been going on in the third book. Like everything will start.
I think that I'm going to read the Wikipedia page. I will feel good
we
about myself after it. Yes.
We learn about like the actual narrator of the book. We learn about what happened. We learn about where the 5th seasons came from. All that. We learn more about Stone Eaters. So I just hope.
I'm reading the third book then.
I really hope that it's actually as exciting as the synopsis suggested, and that it's not going to be the writing style again that messes it up for me.
True. Like that's the thing. Like just right now when you explained it, I got so excited about it.
Yeah, I remember that we talked about like the first book, and we all were really excited about the second one. Like we said, I remember that we talked and we were like, okay, it wasn't perfect, but it has so much potential. It felt like a prequel, but like a prequel. So what's going to be in the second book? But like in the end, so I think I'm going to read. Like I'm not going to read the books.
Based on the Wikipedia page, we should basically in the third book everything should start making sense. And then I feel like if you've read the third one and you read the first one again, you will be like, oh, so that's what's happening.
Interesting.
Because
I have to read the Wikipedia page now. I'm so interested.
Perhaps it should have been like not a trilogy, just like one long ass book. Perhaps
it
that's
can
what
be
it
like
it's
really like important to know how to separate books. So it could be like another priority of the orange tree, like lengthwise. Maybe it could work better for this kind of book because I do think it's really confusing that it's so
I think it should have been a long book because other than the fact that there's one new point of view introduced with Nasun, there really isn't that much that made it differentiate from the first one. So it could have been an add-on to the first book, and the first book would have been 900 pages or something like that.
Yeah, but what if you just made it one book and then have part 1, part 2, part 3?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like because I wanted it first, so I know that work to put them together. So probably just put them all together as one. That would be good, all three.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna read a book at some point.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, it's like I said, it's just based on a synopsis that I read, and that's just literally someone who summarized the book. But I mean, if it's in the summary, it should be in the actual book as well. So
yeah, I have an idea of what that chapter might have been. If it's some weird sort of she's talking to her daughter and both of them are the same person once again, but that's not confirmed. But that's just like just me trying to.
I was surprised at who the narrator is.
Alabaster? I'm just gonna guess now. No, it's
I'm
not
not
Alabaster.
going to say because that would be spoilers, but
Yeah.
I was surprised at who's the narrator, and I was surprised at why he's the narrator.
Now
and I was
both of
surprised
you are gonna
It's a
know
he.
something that I won't know. Darn it.
It's a
I-
he.
Yeah,
I guess maybe the dead son of Alabaster and Esun, not the dead son in the beginning of the first book, like the dead son of Alabaster and Esun, maybe.
Oh.
Or the second dead son of Esun, maybe. Like that's my like
That's a good guess. Oh my god, I'm excited now.
I'm excited to read the Wikipedia page, yes. I'm not going to read the book, but like I'm actually excited to read the Wikipedia page and to understand the plot. I think that I'm going to do it also for the first book to understand it better.
Yeah. I think that's good at least.
Yes, like I now went into the Wikipedia page and it's pretty short. Like there isn't a lot of stuff to read, so
no, but I
will
think
read it.
what's there just summarize the entire book, and I mean, obviously, in the book, it's going to be more
Yeah, of
detailed.
course. It's like movie and a book. Of course, the movie is like summarize the book because the book has so much more than in the movie.
Yeah,
Of course, I'm not like I'm sure that I would miss so many things by not reading the book and only reading the synopsis on Wikipedia. But I just don't want to read the book.
I just hope like the payout of the third book of finding out what we find out in the third book is worth it.
Yeah, that's why I'm a bit curious to read the Wikipedia page, but I do feel like I want to give the third book the best possible chance and give it the opportunity to surprise
It might
me.
be a
and that
4-star
reaction
for you,
I
a
had with the
5-star
first
for
book.
you.
Yeah.
So,
no, I get that. I mean,
I'll
maybe
try.
if during the third book you're struggling, maybe you could then
Yeah,
read it and
Yeah.
then try to read on knowing that you know is like what's going to come.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good idea.
Because, like, I definitely feel like sometimes that works for me. Like when I'm just kind of struggling with seeing like, oh, where are we going? Just knowing where it's going to go. Like it doesn't personally ruin it for me. It just makes me
No, no, no.
anticipate it more.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
For me personally.
Usually not someone who minds spoilers much either. It depends, I think, but I'm not the most particular about that. But yeah, I'll have to think about how I approach this.
For me, it really, like, for me, spoilers really, really minds. I don't reread books ever because if I know the plot, I can't read the book anymore. I feel like it's already. I tried to read The Hunger Games a few times and I couldn't. And it was like my most favorite book. So it's like for me, spoilers are really, really hard, but it's personally for me. So that's why, like, there is a lot of books that you don't feel like you're knowing where you're going. So I feel why you're in the synopsis, Femka, like what it does to you, that you know where you're going, definitely like changes it for me. But I feel like for me, just spoilers makes me not want to read anymore because I know what is going to happen and it seems pointless to me. So like for me personally, I can't spoilers.
No, I mean, but again, that's like to each their own. That's completely fine.
Yeah.
For me, sometimes I don't want spoilers. But sometimes, for example, in this one, it just kind of felt, I don't know, adrift or something. Like, and I just needed something to hold on to know where we were going.
Yeah.
And in those instances, just knowing a synopsis helps me, but I can definitely see why it wouldn't for you. But I've never minded spoilers.
Yeah,
that's good. That's amazing.
I mean, I'm the same with like my fairy loot boxes. Like whenever spoilers are somewhere, I just immediately go hunting them. Like, show me what's in the box.
Yeah, I started doing that with my Illumicrate books that I'm getting as well. So I started watching everyone else unbox them.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I actually, when I got one time Illumicrate box, like it was a special
Yeah.
edition. I tried not to see any spoilers. Like I really love surprises, so I really wanted to not see anything. Like I knew how the book is going to look, but anything else, I tried not to see anything. I really prefer surprises. Yeah,
The
Yeah,
one
but I
thing
feel
I'm
like
avoiding sorry.
I'm not patient enough for surprises.
Yeah, no,
understandable.
me neither, obviously. I opened some books I shouldn't have. But the one
Mhm.
thing I'm actively avoiding spoilers for now is the new Spider-Man movie.
Okay, I will remember it. I'm not saying it, but
Yeah,
yes,
no, I
yes, I
haven't yet
can
either.
understand it. Yeah.
That's one I'm like,
Okay.
I want to experience that. Yeah.
hmm Okay, so we are getting already to the end, and I wanted like for us to talk maybe what we are going to do from now about the read along and how to continue it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because I
Yeah.
feel like all of us, like I'm not sure, Femka, how you would feel after you will finish the second book. I know that I'm the infinite, and I also know that Esme isn't really enjoying it. So maybe it will like change for her, but I'm not sure. Like overall, it seems like we are the host, not really enjoying the books. And I guess that also you, Charlotte, like it will be hard for you to pick the book right now, like in the next month. So
Yeah, I haven't really planned it in my TBR for the next month, to be honest.
mhm.
Would it help if we just postponed it a little bit?
Yeah, possibly. Like, I could still have this chat. Like, if we set a date, I'm gonna freaking read it. That's just who I am. So, yeah, definitely. And I enjoy having these discussions about them because it makes me feel so much better about the book, and I actually appreciate the books a bit more.
Yeah.
So, I would be up for potentially having a round for the third and final book as well, but probably postponed then, I guess. A tad bit, similarly to how we did it this time, at least, possibly.
Yeah.
Yes, like currently we have a date for a live in the beginning of January, and we can make this live reading sprints or something like this if we want to.
Yeah.
Like I personally won't be reading the fourth book, but I will read the Wikipedia page. I will
No,
live
but
reading.
during reading sprint, you can read whatever you want, so that's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
And then maybe do like the final live, like towards the end of January, maybe something like that, just to give us a little bit more time, especially now with the holidays coming up. You know, which I think are going to be busy for most of us.
Yeah.
And also just to give me time to catch up, and you, Charlotte, just time to gather your courage and start reading the third one.
Yeah. I think that it's the third one is not as long either. I think not that it matters with this book because it's still like a brick to your head, but in other ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but we'll make it work.
Okay, so we'll just settle on doing, like, I think we discussed the 9th of January for sprints.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just make those sprints.
Yes, the knife.
And then we'll just see from there.
Yeah.
You're planning to read the fourth book. That's amazing. Okay. So
good.
You would like love to join for the fourth live, probably in the end of January. Like it will be fun to discuss it. Like I'm excited to see where the plot is going to go. I'm just going to read the Wikipedia page. Thank you, Femke, for the I'm going to do it.
I think there's probably more detailed.
Of course, like
out there.
Of course. I just want to be in a place that I arrive to a live show and you're discussing the plot, and I'm pretty much understanding what is happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I think then that is all we needed and wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think we can round it up then.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here with us, and I hope that the next live will be better.
Yeah.
That we will enjoy the books more, like you, because I
fingers crossed that it all comes together in the third and final book.
I hope it will be worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And yes, we will update the live reading sprints and the live date in our Twitter. So yes.
Yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next time.
Bye, guys. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Have a nice
Have a nice
evening.
evening.
Bye.